up, Canada? Happy Friday. Isn't it great that it's the end of the week because you get to unwind after a long week of just putting in work? I'm your host, Alex Melki, and this is, you guessed it, Anchorman Canada. Now, this is our third episode, and we're still having some fun with it. I hope you are too. And it's Friday, like I said. We have a great show. Woo is right. Because it's the weekend. Now, we have a fun show. We have a couple of crazy stories. Some that are going to be a little bit more fun. Some that are going to be a little intense. So grab your loved ones. Grab them. Hold them tight because we're going to get into it. Now, first up, we have a house that's super expensive. It's so expensive, it's 15 times as expensive as Kylie Jenner's new house. And what about it is so crazy? It's right here in Canada. It's the most expensive house in Canada. We're going to get to that. After that, we have Ticketmaster, who you've probably had to deal with in the past. Ticketmaster has been a sneaky little shit, and they've gotten caught. We're going to talk about what they've gotten caught doing and what that means for you. And does Toronto hate Seth Rogen? Like, I don't want to throw that out there and it be like negative juju, but does Toronto hate Seth Rogen? I hope not. And I hope that's a little bit more of an extreme assessment, but that's what it looks like based on the story that we have for you today. So we're going to jump into it. We're going to have a good time. And I love you. Let's do this. The first story we have today. To anyone living in an overpriced Vancouver condo. You love your condo. You talk about it all the time. You're in Vancouver. Or if anybody lives in Toronto and they have their tiny one-bedroom apartment that they spent $2,200 for in rent a month, but you get your 4 square feet of space, you're proud of it, maybe look away because this might trigger you. In fact, anyone that makes less than 7 figures a year, just take a breather because we're about to talk big bucks, big moolah, narcos money, all right? The most expensive house in Canada is back on the market. This is the most expensive house in the country. You know what? Calling it a house isn't even fair because it's not a house. It's like calling Vladimir Putin's yacht a boat. It's not a boat. This is a massive, massive building. Now, this is the most expensive luxury home in Canada, and this mansion sits on Lake Ontario and costs, are you ready for this? An insane $59 million. And according to the realtors that are selling this place, this is money, okay? According to the realtors that are selling this place, if you make anything less, if your net worth is anything less than $200 million, go fuck yourself. If you make anything less than that much money and you're worth less than that, just go fuck yourself. They're probably going to charge you to look at these pictures. Look at that. This is crazy. This is one of the bedrooms. Now, clearly, this looks like it needs to be updated a little bit. I don't know if they were playing Game of Thrones before taking these pictures, but this is the most expensive house in Canada. And I'll tell you a little bit about it right now. It's got an indoor pool, a cinema, a home theater in the basement, a full library, and a bowling alley. Because there's nothing more pretentious than playing with your own balls in your $59 million mansion. It's just what you do. It's just what you do. Now, there's also enough parking for 42 cars, which personally, I think that's kind of not enough. I would range over to the 50 car lot size. I feel like you can probably shimmy the price down a few million because I feel like maybe that drops the price. Now, the whole size of the lot is 43,850 feet. This is huge. This is actually roughly the size of 3 regulation NHL rinks. So this is a big space. And it's fun because if you want to dress up like Batman and run around thinking you're saving Gotham City, it's great. There's nobody near you. There's so much space. No one can judge you. No one will judge you. And this is, as I said, roughly 15 times what Kylie Jenner's new house costs. So if you have the money, go for it. And if you don't have the money, you're probably scratching yourself. You're like, you know what, Alex? I looked at that. Maybe I want to spend the rest of my life devoting my time on this earth. Whatever I have left, I want to devote it to buying that house. How are you going to do it? Your only skill is buying things? How do you translate that into making $59 million? I can tell you right now. Let's pull up the next story, okay? So the way that you can do that is through IKEA. Hear me out. Back in the day, back when your parents were youngins, the way things worked with furniture is they were passed down generation to generation. Furniture was made much better then than it is today. For the large part, that a lot of people would just buy IKEA. furniture today. Houses and apartments are decked out in IKEA because it's cheaper. It's cool and aesthetically pleasing, but it also doesn't cost a lot, right? Now, this is weird. Why the hell is an IKEA furniture going to get you rich enough to buy a $59 million mansion? There's one piece of furniture that's getting a lot of attention right now. And this is going to sound insane, but I need you to bear with me, okay? Antique expert Pontus, I have to read his name here, Pontus Silverstope, Swedish. It's the coolest name. This is either a Harry Potter spell or a city in Game of Thrones. I love it. He, basically what he does is he's an expert antiquer. He judges things based on the price that they have, and he released a list to Barnaby's. This is a Swedish auction house, Barnaby's. And what he does is this is his projection of future antiques. Now what this is him looking at pieces that exist today, and based on the previous value of other things that have maintained current market trends that have gone up in price over the course of time, he looks at what's going on right now and he goes, that's going to be worth big money in a few years. And so if we can pull up this piece here, this is the Lovbacken. According to our buddy Pontus, this Lovbacken side table at IKEA, currently worth $70, is supposed to jump up in price dramatically. The reason for that is that it's based on a design from 1953 from a very famous Swedish designer, Gillis Lundgren. And the way he judges this is that this is such a classic design that it's going to maintain value. It's actually going to increase in value, and he thinks that by 2030, this table that's $70 is going to be worth $2,000. So I don't know how that's going to work for a couple reasons. Number one, I don't know if you've ever bought IKEA furniture. I love IKEA furniture. I'm decked out in IKEA furniture. I don't see this sitting around for the next 12 years in pristine condition. So maybe you can just buy it, stock it, pull it out then. But in the meantime, you do have a really nice piece because it does look gorgeous. It'll go with a lot of things. And just to give you an idea, because I did the math, in today's money, you would need 20,000 of these tables to be able to buy the mansion that we showed you previously. So save up, buy these tables, 20,000 tables, now a mansion in a few years. I'm looking out for you guys. Let's move on to the next story here. Oh, guys, we're gonna get a little depressing here, all right? Ticketmaster is just about the dirtiest flavor you want to have in your mouth. It's the last thing you want to really think about when you're buying tickets, because when you go to a concert, when you're going to a show, the thing that you appreciate the least about that whole process is buying tickets. No one enjoys it. I mean, yes, the price of tickets has skyrocketed over the past decade, but that's not what it is. It's the fact that, let me run this scenario your way, right? So you're going online, you're in an online lobby. You're waiting to see your favorite band or musician or artist, and 37 seconds in, they're all sold out. You're done. You have nothing. What do? You go to Ticketmaster. It's your only other option that instantly pops into your head. Now, the thing about Ticketmaster, they're no fun to deal with. They're as fun to deal with as getting punched in the face. And if you're into BDSM, maybe that's up your alley. No judgments here. But for the most part, getting punched in the face is not a fun thing you want. And neither is dealing with Ticketmaster. Between hiking up prices on their tickets, doubling up service fees, and just generally dickish practices, no one's running to defend Ticketmaster anytime there's a scandal that involves their name. Now, CBC News and Toronto Star recently pulled up the findings on this. They did some digging, and they looked at specifically a Bruno Mars concert that was held in Toronto, and they were looking at the prices. You can see here some of the prices of the tickets that were selling. And you can see the initial price on one side and then what Ticketmaster was selling it as online. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the way that Ticketmaster works, they are a site in which you can resell tickets that you've bought. The drama that's ensuing here, the unsavory flavor that's falling into people's mouths is that there's finally an indication that Ticketmaster, what they're doing is buying tickets en masse in big batches, and then they're selling it online at their own price on their own site for a huge uptick in price. Now, this is super not cool, and the really shitty thing about this is that, well, why is this happening? Well, first of all, they're the first place that a lot of people think of going when they can't buy a ticket. When it gets sold out, that's where people go. And what are your options? Your options are, well, you can protest Ticketmaster and not buy your tickets from them. And guess what? There's going to be about 20,000 other people who either A, don't care that they do this, or B, that just don't even know that it's a thing enough to not buy from them to begin with. So it's a huge issue, and it doesn't seem to be going away. The reason I'm talking about this now is that 4 days after the news hit that this story came out, Ticketmaster finally responded. We can pull this up right now. I'll show you what they said. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a long piece. You can find it on our website. But the response is this. They say it is categorically untrue that Ticketmaster has any program in place to enable resellers to acquire large volumes of ticket at the expense of consumers. So they're saying, we're not screwing you over. How dare you? We're not screwing you over. And it's a little insulting because they clearly, there was some evidence that did come up through this investigation. And they're saying they're looking into it. Now, the thing is, it's not hardcore evidence yet. I mean, obviously this is a story that's going to develop. But in the meantime, it's nice to know that all those conspiratorial theories that you've had about Ticketmaster screwing you over are not entirely unfounded. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask you guys, if you've ever been screwed over by Ticketmaster, or if you have any stories of friends or anyone that has had a bad experience with Ticketmaster, please drop a comment below. I'd love to read it. Maybe we'll get to it by the end of the show, because stuff like this just is not cool. And you know what? It's not Canadian. Let's get to the next one. Ooh, it's Friday, and it's fall in Montreal, and in Canada, and in the rest of the world. Well, I guess that's not true. There's different seasons around the globe, but in Canada, it's fall. And what does that mean? The air is starting to get kind of crispy. It's Friday night. What am I going to do tonight? I'm not going out. No. I'm going home. I'm taking my pants off, and I'm sitting in my couch. I'm gonna extend my big booty. I'm gonna wear some sweats, and I'm gonna get lazy. And what's the best way to do that? A new Netflix series. Now, this one is one I'm very excited about. This is called Maniac. And before I show you some of the clips that I have for you, I just want to tell you why I'm so excited about it, because this isn't just a whatever series. This is important. I like it. I'm excited for this one. First of all, it stars Emma Stone and Jonah Hill. Now, Emma Stone and Jonah Hill have not had such amazing chemistry since that movie they shot in 2007, which you might remember, called Superbad. That one scene where they're cooking in home ec class is maybe one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in film. It's funny, and they have great chemistry. I'm super excited for that. Number two, it looks visually amazing. It's great that there is a dope, cool, interesting sci-fi movie. I mean, look at that picture, right? This is very 2001, A Space Odyssey, cool neon colors, and you can never get enough of a good sci-fi movie, or TV show even. And third, it's directed by, and I'm sorry if I am, Cary Fukunaga, who is the director of True Detective Season 1, which is arguably one of the best seasons of TV ever. And so far, he's working on James Bond as well. So let's get to the clip.
My head doesn't work right. I thought maybe these people could fix me. Sounds stupid.
That doesn't sound stupid to me.
Okay, people, let's begin.
And that's Maniac. It looks amazing. I hope it excites you as much as it excites me, and I hope to find you guys in sweats tonight in front of your TVs. Let's get to the next one. Oof. All right, look, Toronto, everyone loves you. You're clearly the favorite child in the country, all right? We don't have to hush it under the rug, okay? But this headline is going to look harsh. It's going to look harsh. Toronto hates Seth Rogen. Now, I hope this isn't true, because everyone loves Seth Rogen. He's a Canadian national treasure. The man is adorable. He's a human teddy bear. How can Toronto possibly hate Seth Rogen? Well, this past summer, Vancouver used Seth Rogen's voice as part of their SkyTrain and their buses all across the city. They made him the voice of their transit system, and he would say things like, "Here's your stop," and don't lean on the door when somebody's trying to get in or out, right? And tell me this right now. Are you telling me that hearing that's a terrible impression, but are you telling me that hearing that a million times a day is not going to make your happiness level skyrocket? Because it will. Science hasn't proven it yet, but you can just feel it in your soul. He's the happiest man. Now, it was such a genius idea. It was such a brilliant move that Toronto and their transit system, the Toronto Transit Commission, decided to take that idea and transplant it into Toronto, which so far, I mean, it's a good idea. And then it was around for about a month, and then it just sort of kind of disappeared. It kind of waned off. And no one really noticed it until recently. And it's weird. Now, what I have here is that we have the TTC communicative director said that he was worried that having Seth Rogen talk to people all day long past a month would get annoying, that people would get annoyed hearing that voice, that it was just a nice little summer project, but that we were past it beyond August. Because August 31st, they killed Seth. How could you kill Seth? Now, let's pull up some tweets here. The public is sort of wishy-washy about this. Some people are saying that they agree with it. Some people are saying that they don't. Now, we have this one here. It lasted about a day, right? That's not long enough to really enjoy Seth Rogen. Can we get the next one here? I know people have been hating on it, but, you know, it's fun. It's fun. Let's get the last one here. This one, I think, bashes him. I wish I could read that to you, but you can see it right there. It's very divisive. It's all over the place. Oh. Can we, no?
Yeah, we'll get
Yeah, let's get it big. Nice and big.
Can you read it?
Why are you shouting at me, Seth Rogen? Because you can't it's loud. It's loud. So, clearly, I don't know if it's the fact that Toronto didn't do it properly. They didn't do it the way that Vancouver did it. They just kind of haphazardly tossed it on. I don't know what it is. But Seth Rogen, if you're listening right now, and I hope you are, that would be amazing. You know what? Here in Montreal, you're welcome. Come on over. We'll put your voice in everything. I want your voice every time I open the fridge. That would be beautiful. Would it get annoying? I don't think so, because Canadians love their own, and I love you. And now we're moving on to the next one. Now this one's going to get a little bit more serious, because it is serious, and it's kind of dark, and it's kind of, but it's an important one. So I'm going to read this headline because it's such an insane headline. It's such an intense headline, and we don't really get stuff like this in Canada that much. So police are warning the Canadian public to be on the lookout for a millionaire fugitive from the United States who was arrested for killing his wife in California. That's intense, right? That is nuts to hear, because we really don't get stuff like this. Now let me run you through a little recap of season 1 of this story before we get to where we are today. So here's where we're at. Peter Chadwick was born in the UK. This is not somebody you want to bring home to your parents. Peter Chadwick was born in the UK. He moved to the US. And then he married a woman from Quebec. They were married for 21 years. Very long time. Fast forward to 2012, the year, not the movie, thank God. Pete's wife is found dead. And the police are arresting him because they are under the suspicion that he did it. He says he didn't do it. He says that somebody else did it, and then the real killer forced him to drive out into the Mexican desert and dump her body there. Which is kind of like lazy writing, it feels, for season 1. Anyway, fast forward 2015, Pete doesn't show up to his court hearing. He empties his bank accounts of millions of dollars, and he just bails. He just skips out of town, and he disappears. So that was 3 years ago. It was January. 3 years ago, he dips out. Now, where does he go? No one really seems to know, until recently. And this is where we are now, present. This is season 3. We're in season 3 of Peter Chadwick's escape. And the Newport Beach in California, the police department there, said that there is they have a gut feeling, they have an instinct that he might be in Vancouver. And the reason for that is that it's his favorite place to vacation, Vancouver. And I never thought I'd say that I agree with a killer before, but or an alleged killer, but Vancouver is a lovely place. It has the best sushi that I've ever had. It's got wonderful weather pretty much year-round except when it rains. So it's a great spot. Check it out if you ever have a chance. But also keep an eye out for a dude with loads of money who might be a killer. Just something to keep in mind. Now, it's Friday. That was a little intense of a way to just sort of like end the show. And I don't want to end it there because A, I love you, and B, you know, that was kind of dark. So let me hit you with this one. This one's fun. This last story was a little intense. Now, Quebec recently introduced Vanity Plates. And Vanity Plates, if you're not familiar with them, you can write whatever you want on these plates, and you can have some fun with it. And Quebec has been starving for this for a very, very long time. We finally entered the 21st century. So there is a Facebook group that has been sharing the funniest vanity plates that they have been able to find. We're just going to bring up some of the funniest ones that I've been able to find here. Gabe, hit me. So this guy's clearly a baller. And you know what? Is it a Tesla? It is. So you know what? He kind of is a baller. I got to give him that one, all right? If it was anything else, I would have been like, look, dude, chill the fuck out. Hit me with the next one. Dad's toy. Now, I'm 50-50 on this guy actually being a father who wants his family to understand that it's his property to play with, or this is some sort of like weird daddy kink going on where it's a woman and daddy's toy. I don't know. I don't get, it's 2018. Again, I'm not judging, but it's on a Porsche. It's nice. I like it. Let's hit another one. Ooh, lawyer up, because when you're driving a BMW, there's a good chance that you're not using your turn signals when you're indicating nothing at all. You're not indicating to the world that you're doing things, but you probably have the lawyers to back up that action. So if you're behind this guy, you might want to lawyer up as per his license plate. Let's get to the next one. Sorry. Now, again, I'm split. Is he saying, I'm sorry that I'm such a terrible driver, or is he just saying I'm sorry ahead of time because he's Canadian and he's proud of that one word that we all use so valiantly? One more. Okay, so this one is French. And for all the Canadians out there that speak just like the necessary amount of French and then just cut it off, docteur translates very clearly from English doctor. So this guy is clearly a doctor, or he's pretending to be. As I often have whenever I create cards online, I usually indicate that I am Dr. Dr. Alex Melki, just for fun. And it would be really funny if this guy isn't a doctor at all. But again, Mercedes, not to assume, you know, but Mercedes, it'd be fun. I'd do that. Hit me with one more. Oh, that's it? Oh, that's it. Guys, if you guys have any license plates that you've seen or that you love or that you have, send them in. Post them in the comments, and we're going to get to them next week. And actually, you know what? If this is a thing that might continue, we might start pulling up vanity plates all across Canada. This is a really, really fun concept. Real quick here. Let's see if I can pull up the page. Yep. So, guys, that's going to be it for this this episode of Anchorman Canada. I hope you had a good time. I hope you had a good week. We're going to be back on Monday with more news, more Canada, more Narcity, more goodness. And I hope you're very excited, because I am too. Guys, I love you. Like, subscribe, YouTube, Facebook. It's all love.